Our lesson here is about two-dimensional view, where it involves the rectangle, triangle, square, and circle. What is a rectangle? A rectangle is a four-sided figure consisting of two lengths and two breadths at opposite of each other, meaning the lengths are opposite to each other and the breadths are opposite to each other. The perimeter of the rectangle is 2L plus 2B. That indicates to you that the perimeter of a rectangle is the distance around the shape, which is the rectangle. Live contextual attributes. We attribute this particular shape rectangle to atlantic tracks that are surrounding the atlantic field in a track and field event. Now, in a track and field event, we have atlantic track surrounding a field. In that particular track and field event, or atlantic field, the rectangle here is represented by the field itself, which is a rectangle. And the perimeter is represented by the tracks. That means for an athlete to run an athletic event, the 400-meter track event, will have to start at the starting point, run until that particular athlete complete a lap. And that athlete is going to complete a lap where he or she has started. By so doing, it means that particular athlete has completed what? A perimeter. That means those particular tracks represent what? The perimeter of a field in athletic fields. So that indicates that the distance around the athletic field represents the perimeter of that particular field. Area of rectangle and live context. The diagram below shows the rectangle indicating the length and the breadth. The long side there is representing the length, denoted by L. The other one on the other side is the breadth, denoted by B. And we say the area of a rectangle is length multiplied by breadth. That means the shaded part. The shaded part is length multiplied by breadth. The area is a place where we tile, we paint, and so forth and so forth. The tiles below show the context in which we should use the area, that is tiling the floor. That means in order to tile a floor, what do? You firstly have to find the area where you are going to tile that particular floor, and therefore calculate the area of that particular tile. And after calculating the area of that particular tile, what happens? You have to take the area of where you are going to tile divided by the area of a tile. That will give you how many tiles are required to complete the tiling of that particular place. Perimeter and area of triangle, as well as using them in a real life context. The diagram showing the triangle area shaded part and the perimeter marked as side 1, side 2, side 3. The perimeter of a triangle is defined as side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3, and the area is therefore defined as half base multiplied by height. In this case, we have to have the height that's starting from the top or the tip of the triangle to the very most bottom part of that particular triangle, which we call the base. But therefore, that particular height must be perpendicular to the base. Perpendicular to the base meaning it must form 90 degrees where they intersect. That is exactly how we will find the perpendicular height of that particular triangle. It's not just any other height. If you look at the other triangle there, which is in yellowish, you will find that there are some heights there. We don't call them the perpendicular height. They are sliding, so we call them the slide height. So we don't want the slide height there. We want the perpendicular height in order to calculate the area of the triangle. The context tells us, gives an example of the garden, which is triangular in shape. In that particular garden, there are some flowers planted in that particular triangle. Where the flowers are planted, it represents the area of that particular triangle. That means in order to find out how many flowers can I plant in that particular garden, what do? You have to start by calculating the area of that particular triangle and calculating the space of each flower that is going to be allocated in that particular area. So by so doing, what do? You are going to take the area of that particular triangle and divide it by the area of each flower which is going to occupy that particular space, or each space that is going to be occupied by a flower. By so doing, you will know how many flowers can I plant in that particular triangle. What about the paving? The paving there represents the perimeter of that particular triangle. That is, in order to surround that particular triangle, what do? I need to know how many, if they are the bricks, how many bricks am I going to require in order to surround that particular triangle. Take for instance, one brick is 30 centimeters, and you want to use those particular bricks of 30 centimeters to surround that particular triangle. What do? You already know that the length of each brick is 30 centimeters. Now you go and measure the distance around that particular triangle. After getting that particular distance around the triangle, then you will know how many bricks are required. What do? For instance, if the distance around the triangle is 3,000 and each brick is 30 centimeters, what do? I will simply take 3,000 and divide it by 8. That gives me what? 100. That means there will be 100 bricks required in order to surround that particular area of a triangle. Circle. The properties of a circle. In the properties of a circle, we have a diameter. What is a diameter? It's a line that divides the circle into two equal parts, so that each part is a half a circle. In a circle, we also have what? A radius. What is the radius? Half of a diameter. So we can now write the equation for a radius as radius equals to diameter divided by 2. And the equation for a diameter as diameter equals to 2 multiplied by radius. That simply means in order to have a diameter, you need to have 2 radius. Circumference is another part of the circle, which is the distance around the circle, which means it's a parameter of the circle. So what is the equation for the circumference? The circumference is equals to 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by the radius, or you can call it c multiplied by pi, I beg your pardon, c equals to pi multiplied by a diameter, where pi is equal to 3,14. As indicated in this particular diagram, we have what? The line that crosses in the middle of the circle as a diameter. And the other one that starts from the center of the circle to the circumference is indicating what? The radius. And the other line that's surrounding that particular circle is the circumference. Where do we get circle in real life situation? Example, there is soccer field. The center of the soccer field, where the games are started. That is where you get a circle. So in real life situation, you will be required to say what will be the area of a soccer field, the center of the soccer field. What do? You have to go and calculate the radius. And ultimately, calculating what? The area of that particular soccer field. Or what will be the perimeter? Again, calculate the radius. And thereafter, calculate what is the circumference of that particular soccer field. That is what in life situation will be required to do. There are many other situations that are related to the circle, not only this one. Square is a shape whereby all 4 sides are equal. The life context of a square is an example of a tile. The picture on your right shows the tiles. If you look closely on that particular picture, you'll find that all the sides of that particular tile are equal, meaning that particular tile is a square, which is indicated on the left hand side, whereby we indicate that the area of the square is s squared, meaning is s multiplied by s, because s multiplied by s is s squared. And the perimeter there is what? Is 4s. Just like in our rectangle, we said the perimeter is 2 length and 2 plus 2 breadth. So in this case, our length and breadth are the same. They are equal. So there's no need of saying length and breadth. What do? You simply say s. So if it is 2s plus 2s, it gives you how much? 4s. So the perimeter of a square is 4s. In conclusion, area should always be expressed as square units. Example, square centimeter. Perimeter are expressed in the units as used. For example, millimeter and meter. The next lesson will be about 3-dimensional shapes. Cheers.